The atmosphere is buzzing at the racecourse in the afternoon. Meanwhile, the first night race of the season is on Wednesday at Happy Valley Racecourse. MimosaNgai, TVB News.
The minibus industry says no need for more imported workers, but cross-border coach operators think otherwise. More complaints about gym chain physical, but investment talks are underway. 3 Israelis gunned down in West Bank as body of U.S.-Turkish protester to be released. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. After the suspension of the labor importation scheme for the construction sector, the minibus industry says it would like to have the scheme cancelled too. It's a different story for cross-border coach services who have called for a quota increase in migrant workers. The Consumer Council has received at least 521 complaints against gym chain Physical. They were lodged within 2 days of Physical's abrupt temporary closure after 38 years of operation. The complaints involve prepaid packages worth over $17 million, with one case having paid $650,000. Physical announced that there will be a new investor taking over its Wan Chai branch, which will reopen soon. Secretary for Financial Services and Treasury Christopher Hui criticized the U.S. government's latest Hong Kong business advisory as unfounded and detached from reality. Secretary for Housing Winnie Ho says authorities want to take care of the well-being of public housing residents, starting with small things. This after the government's recent introduction of a well-being design guide for public housing development, MimosaNgai reports. 3 Israelis were shot and killed at the border crossing between the West Bank and Jordan, Israeli officials said. Meanwhile, a hospital in Nablus was hoping to hand over the body of a U.S.-Turkish activist killed by Israeli forces. The head of America's CIA and his British counterpart spoke about the conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine and a perceived threat posed by Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran. CIA Chief William Burns says a ceasefire deal in Gaza could be days away, although Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that is not the case. Nasmi Karim has more. Typhoon Yagi has weakened to a tropical depression after killing at least 21 people while hitting Vietnam hard over the weekend. State media say landslides caused by Yagi was the reason for most deaths, with at least 6 killed in Lao Cai. In Hanoi, a scene of devastation, hundreds of trees uprooted, blocking streets. Dozens of residents were injured, with some estimates putting that number at 200. Yagi battered the coastal provinces of Chuan Ninh and Haiphong with wind speeds of nearly 150 kilometers an hour recorded. Authorities say Yagi is the most powerful typhoon they have experienced in a decade. Pope Francis traveled to the jungles of Papua New Guinea to celebrate with a small community. Back locally, Sunday saw the start of the horse racing season at Sha Tin. The Hong Kong Jockey Club said more than 47,000 people visited the racecourse on the opening day. MimosaNgai was at the scene.
The atmosphere is buzzing at the racecourse in the afternoon. Meanwhile, the first night race of the season is on Wednesday at Happy Valley Racecourse. MimosaNgai, TVB News.
More sports. Aryna Sabalenka won the U.S. Open, denying American Jessica Pegula in the final with a 7-5, 7-5 victory. 30-year-old Pegula will have to wait for a slam as 26-year-old Sabalenka will. Olympic swimming medalist Siobhan Haughey is back in training, but says more discussions are needed with her coach before a decision will be made on whether she will go for gold at the 2028 Games in Los Angeles.
I wouldn't say I'm fully committed to LA yet. I think I'm still trying to see what I want to do in the future, but as of right now, I'm just very focused on this year, and we're trying to do something different right now because it's still very early on in the season, so I can afford to try different things. So we're just using this next 6 months as an experiment, I guess.
To the weather, cloudy with some showers early on Monday. Most of the rain will ease off later. It will still be warm, though, with a top temperature of 30 degrees Celsius. Light force 3 winds expected offshore, and much hotter with longer sunny spells on Tuesday, when the top temperature could be as high as 33 degrees. And that's the news for tonight. Thank you for watching.